Behind the partially open kitchen door, muted whispers and lively discussions could be heard. The night enveloped the house, and Scarlett, awakened by thirst, cautiously descended the stairs. Surprise seized her as she discovered her husband wasn't beside her in bed. The clock on the nightstand ticked quietly, indicating it was 3 in the morning. Where could he have disappeared to at such a late hour? Pondering this, she noticed that the pitcher of clean water, usually on the table, was empty. It hadn't been refilled yesterday, so she'd have to go down to the kitchen. In her slippers, Scarlett made her way to the hallway. With each step down the staircase of their spacious home, she caught snippets of Dylan's conversation with his mother, who was also Scarlett's mother-in-law. This surprised her since she hadn't noticed before that her husband and mother-in-law engaged in lengthy conversations at night. Approaching the door, she could discern her mother-in-law's voice. "It was long past time for you to rid yourself of her," the mother-in-law's voice hissed like a serpent's whisper, filtering through the partially open door. "Mama, please, enough. I love Scarlett," Dylan whispered back. But his irritation was palpable even through the slightly ajar door. "You don't understand, son, with your finances, with your position, you could have chosen a wife from a decent family," the mother-in-law continued. Dylan raised his voice slightly. "You forget that when I married Scarlett, I had nothing. I'm sorry, but I raised you, worked myself to the bone to provide you with a good education, so you could choose your own path in life. Thank you for that. The best thing you can do for me is to give me a grandchild. And you're depriving me of that opportunity," the mother-in-law insisted. "Mom, you know, Scarlett and I have tried many times to have a child, but if you don't start talking to her, don't file for divorce, and don't force her to leave the house, I'll tell Scarlett everything. I'll personally tell her about your other family," Dylan firmly stated, although Scarlett, at that moment, wasn't paying attention to it. For her, only 2 words resonated: another family, another family. Her heart almost stopped, and turning around, she rushed up the stairs to the bedroom. Everything heard that night became a dreadful revelation for her. If what her mother-in-law said was true, then it meant Dylan was deceiving her. How long has this been going on? How much time has he been living with 2 families? No, there simply couldn't be any truth to this. From the very beginning of their relationship, they both loved each other, cared for each other, and her husband never even hinted at anything that could hurt Scarlett. Hundreds of little hammers were ringing in her head. She longed to wake up, to realize that this was all just a nightmare, that everything would vanish as soon as she opened her eyes. But this was not a dream. She overheard her mother-in-law's conversation with her husband about Dylan having another family. It was simply impossible. 10 years ago, Scarlett and Dylan first met at one of the numerous parties that her friend Harper had invited her to. They were attending hairstyling courses together and were already doing their apprenticeship at a beauty salon. "Stop torturing yourself," Harper urged her friend. "Let's go to the party, it'll be fun. You hardly ever go anywhere. When was the last time you even went to a snack bar?" "No, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know anyone there," Scarlett refused. "Well, you'll get to know them, make new friends. There are plenty of people there, and there are no unnecessary ones," Harper insisted, embracing Scarlett's shoulders and looking into her eyes. "At least you know 2 people for sure, me and Liam. That's a good argument." Liam was Harper's boyfriend, and the next day, Liam's friend, Dylan, threw a party for his birthday. Harper and Liam had been dating for 6 months already, and Scarlett was indeed acquainted with her friend's boyfriend. He was nice to her, and sometimes they would even hang out together. "Enough, I'm tired of persuading you. It's settled, you're coming with us." Harper struck a pose, clearly demonstrating her unwillingness to listen to Scarlett's refusals. "I have nothing to wear there." "Oh, that's not a problem." Harper opened the closet and started pulling out dresses, blouses, and skirts. "Pick what you want, you don't have to return it later." Scarlett looked at these clothes in bewilderment. She and Harper wore the same size. But which of these outfits should she choose? Her friend kept bringing dress after dress to her, trying to imagine which one would suit Scarlett best. "This is perfect. The turquoise dress with the belt will suit you beautifully. It will accentuate your waist but won't be too tight." "Try it on," suggested Harper. Scarlett put on the dress and looked at herself in the mirror. The dress indeed gracefully complemented her figure. The pleasant fabric emphasized her slender contours, while Harper was already carrying white high-heeled shoes from the hallway. "Oh, why did I gesture like that? I barely found them, bought them for prom, and haven't worn them since then. You could probably break a leg in these, but you won't." "But you'll look stunning," Harper said cheerfully, placing the shoes in front of her friend. "Put them on. This outfit will appeal to both girls," and Scarlett was even glad she was going to the party. She would distract herself a bit, and most importantly, Harper would be by her side, which reassured her. The next day, Harper and her boyfriend Liam picked up Scarlett. She lived in a small one-bedroom apartment in the residential area. This corner had been her sanctuary ever since she became an orphan and left the orphanage. Despite its small size, she had made this place cozy. "Come on, let's go quickly," urged Liam, and as Scarlett got into the car, they were already eager to enjoy champagne and dance. "You look wonderful, Scarlett," calmly remarked Liam, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. Liam was usually more composed in their company, while Harper often didn't stay silent. "Well, will we make it?" complained Harper. "We're already half an hour late." "Notice, it's not my fault." Liam turned the ignition key, and the car started moving. Scarlett gazed out the window at the streetlights already shining and the light coming from the windows of the high-rises. The bright displays of the central stores looked much more colorful than her residential area, where the streetlights didn't always illuminate the streets at night. At this party, Scarlett didn't know what awaited her, and that made her nervous. Taking the elevator to the 10th floor, they immediately heard loud music and cheerful chatter. Liam tried to press the doorbell next to the entrance, but nobody answered. "Hey, it's useless. Nobody will hear the bell," he said and decided to pull the door, finding it was open. The trio entered the hallway, and for Scarlett, it was an encounter with a completely unfamiliar world. It was simply a huge apartment, adorned with expensive furniture. Colored lights played on the ceiling in the living room where guys and girls were dancing. The tall and statuesque host of the party instantly ran up to the guests, greeting his friend. At last, the birthday boy. His friend hugged him. "I thought you wouldn't come," he greeted Harper, who in turn pushed Scarlett forward. "Meet Dylan, my best friend." "Such a beauty." Harper raised a thumbs up, introducing Scarlett. "Pleasure to meet you," said Dylan, extending his hand. "I'm Dylan. Come in, join us, don't be shy about anything or anyone. Just have a blast, guys." Scarlett noticed that the atmosphere at the party was amazing. Girls in elegant attire carried themselves confidently and effortlessly, dancing and having fun without any discomfort. The guys were supportive of the girls. Plates of appetizers were on the tables and sills, while bottles of wine and other drinks were placed everywhere. Harper and Liam quickly went to their acquaintances since they knew almost everyone at the party. Scarlett felt a bit uneasy when suddenly someone offered her a glass. "Will you drink?" asked Dylan. The girl took the glass in her hand. Usually, she rarely consumed alcohol, but due to nervousness, she decided to take a sip. The wine turned out to be pleasantly tasting, subtly sweet with fruity undertones. "I noticed you're feeling a bit out of place. Why don't you join the dancing?" the birthday boy asked. "It's a bit awkward. I don't know anyone here," Scarlett shyly replied. "Do you want me to introduce you? But if not, that's not a problem either. I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable situation." But then, "Look, that girl with long hair, that's Kira. We study together. She's constantly eating something. And over there, that guy, Jackson, he's my childhood friend. We attended the same daycare, can you imagine? We're still friends. And there, on the couch, are Miles and Lucas. And those girls who are having a blast, that's Emily, Layla, and Svetlana," Scarlett recalled, trying to retain all the names in her memory, though remembering them all at once was challenging. "Don't be shy, we have a good company here, everyone knows each other," said Dylan, handing her a cheese and olive appetizer. "Try to relax. Can I go out to the balcony just to get some fresh air?" the girl asked. "Of course. It's really stuffy here," agreed Dylan, escorting Scarlett to the large balcony on the 10th floor. From there, a breathtaking view of the city, illuminated by numerous lights, unfolded. A light breeze brought a refreshing gulp of fresh air. The wine slightly clouded her thoughts. Slow music echoed from inside. "Let's go, dance," suggested Dylan, extending his hand. Scarlett turned around and saw that Harper and Liam were already dancing, getting closer to each other. "I feel like dancing too," remarked Scarlett, surprised to find that she really wanted to. Dylan turned out to be a very skillful and gallant partner. He moved gracefully and confidently. While dancing with him, Scarlett felt more confident amidst this unfamiliar company. "Where do you study?" Dylan asked. "I'm taking hairstyling courses," Scarlett replied. "Planning to make people beautiful." "Something like that," she smiled. Since childhood, she had dreamt of working in a salon, just like her mom. So, after leaving the orphanage, the choice was clear. "And you?" she asked. "I'm in my 5th year at the journalism faculty," smiled Dylan. "My dream is to become a journalist. I've always wanted to travel around the country and tell people about events in different regions. I plan to work in the news." "That's wonderful, it's a great profession," supported Scarlett. "You've made an excellent choice." "Yeah, without hairstylists, the correspondence on the screens would look, to put it mildly, not very presentable," they joked. The conversation flowed easily with this simple yet charming guy. As time passed, the group began to disperse. Liam called a taxi, leaving his car near Dylan's house. Parting ways, the birthday boy asked Scarlett for her phone number. "Can I call you sometime?" he asked. "Of course, call me," smiled Scarlett. She felt tired, but she was glad that Harper had persuaded her to attend this party. In the taxi, smiling mysteriously, Harper looked at Scarlett. "It seems you liked Dylan," she stated, lightly poking her friend in the side. "He didn't leave your side all evening." "Don't be naive, he's just very polite and hospitable." Scarlett lowered her gaze. "But I also liked that guy," she confessed. "Hospitable host," joked Harper. "But you know, he's also one of the top students in the class and a sought-after bachelor. Right, Liam?" "Yeah, a sought-after bachelor without a bride," laughed Liam. "But this can be fixed," insisted Harper. "We can marry him off to our Scarlett." "Oh, enough already, here's my house," the girl pointed out to the driver as they pulled up to her 5-story building. The friends said their goodbyes, and Scarlett headed towards the entrance. Scarlett woke up feeling dreadfully tired. She didn't even have the energy for a shower. She changed clothes and collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in a soft pillow. She woke up almost at noon, feeling the rays of the midday sun penetrating through the semi-dark curtains as she opened her eyes. Shaking off the remnants of sleep, she headed to the bathroom. The day promised to be eventful. First, classes, then a trip to the store for groceries and cooking. The fridge was almost empty. The leftovers were running out. The phone rang from the room. "Hello," she answered. "Hey, it's Dylan. Decided to call and see how you're doing. How's your mood?" The guy's voice came through. "Hey, everything's fine," replied Scarlett, feeling her heart beating faster. "Let's meet tonight, go somewhere," the guy suggested. "I have classes tonight," she announced. "But let's make a plan. I'll meet you after class. Send me the address." Scarlett didn't have a chance to say a word or even think. Dylan was already saying goodbye and hung up. She stood by the window, a smile slowly spreading across her face. She longed so much to see again that confident, mature, and strong guy. Involuntarily, she waited for the end of her classes. At the entrance, Dylan was already waiting. Scarlett noticed his figure from the window. "Hi," she greeted, her heart beginning to beat faster. "Hi, hop in," he offered his hand. "Let's go, I know a place. It's a nice spot where we can sit, have a snack. You're probably hungry." Dylan smiled with a charming smile that Scarlett couldn't resist. She really felt like having a snack. They headed to a small cafe with a few tables, where tranquility and calmness prevailed. A few customers were conversing quietly, enjoying their coffee, while background music created a serene atmosphere. "Order whatever you want," Dylan said as the waitress brought the menu. "And you?" Scarlett asked. "I understand, you're shy." "Okay," he smiled. "Well then, I'll order for both of us." "All right." "Okay," said Scarlett with a smile. Dylan took charge of the order. For both of them, he chose a fresh salad, aromatic stew, and an enticing dessert. In the pleasant atmosphere of the restaurant, Scarlett delighted in the treat, relishing every bite. Dylan watched her, smiling affectionately. "I'm incredibly pleased that you agreed to spend time with me," he said when the last bites of dinner disappeared from the plates. "Now it's time for coffee. It's funny, it feels like we've known each other for many years and meet at this cafe every day," Scarlett shared. "But, actually, I hardly know anything about you. What do you want to know?" "I grew up in this city, lived here all my life," Dylan began to recount. "My mom raised me from the very beginning. I don't even remember my father. My mom always said it was a taboo subject for us, and I stopped asking about him even before school. It wasn't easy for my mom alone, but she coped with all the difficulties and made sure we didn't lack anything. I'm very grateful to her." "What about your mom?" Dylan showed interest. "My mom has her own publishing house now." "It's clear why you're interested in becoming a journalist," noted Dylan. "Yes, but that's not the main reason. I'm already working. Mom gives me assignments for publications so that I can earn my own money, get used to working. I've been writing for the publishing house since my 3rd year," explained Scarlett. Their cups had long been emptied, and the cafe was gradually becoming quiet. "Shall we go?" Dylan suggested. They stepped outside onto the street where the May breeze playfully tousled Scarlett's hair. Strolling through the park, they enjoyed each other's company. At that moment, neither of them wanted to return home. In Scarlett's soul, there was a sense of tranquility and security that had been absent for so long. "What about you? Will you tell me something about yourself?" Dylan inquired. Scarlett remained silent. It was difficult for her to open up about herself to this confident guy whose life seemed to be going smoothly. He's lucky to have at least a mom who probably simply adores her son, takes care of him, loves him with all her heart, thought Scarlett, but she couldn't bring herself to talk about it. Her life had taken a different turn. That's how the world works, that's fate. Not everyone is fortunate. Some people don't have luck from the start, she tried to explain. No, my mom was a hairdresser. The girl began to talk about herself. Then it becomes clear why you chose this profession, following your mom, noticed Dylan. Yes, she's been gone for a long time. She passed away, said Scarlett, not wanting to continue this topic at all. For a long time, she tried not to remember her childhood. Her father sometimes drank and would occasionally raise his hand to her mother, but despite that, she always loved him deeply. Even now, as an adult, fragments of those scenes from her childhood remained in her memory, scenes that had frightened her, made her huddle in a corner, hide behind a cupboard, or under the table. Once, in a state of alcohol intoxication, Scarlett's father got into a fight, resulting in someone's death. As a consequence, he ended up behind bars, where he eventually passed away. Scarlett's mother, overwhelmed with immense grief over her deceased husband, began to abuse alcohol. Bitterness and sorrow became her constant companions. She often left her 5-year-old daughter alone at home for several days, going on extended walks. The woman had to leave her job. She was repeatedly fired for being intoxicated, and clients complained about the smell of alcohol. Witnessing all this, neighbors sought help from social service workers. Eventually, Scarlett's mother had her rights as a parent revoked. After this, the woman completely descended into alcoholic madness. Once beautiful, caring, and well-groomed, she turned into something terrible. Alcohol destroyed her. One day, neighbors found the girl's mother dead in her own apartment. The girl's custody was taken over by her grandmother, who took her in. However, by the time Scarlett was supposed to start first grade, her grandmother passed away from a heart attack. That's how the girl ended up in a children's home. The girl didn't want to burden the boy with this heavy story, especially when everything in his life seemed prosperous. She didn't want other people's problems to overshadow the pleasant atmosphere. Deciding to conceal the truth, she deceitfully replied, "I never knew him either." "I see. So, I guess we're friends in misery, then," Dylan joked, trying to lighten the tense mood, sensing that the conversation was veering into a dark path, which had cast a melancholic mood over Scarlett. But he didn't want to turn the evening into a confessional. Meanwhile, the girl delved into her memories. 2 years ago, she left the children's home. Initially, everything seemed fine. She was provided with an apartment, and she had savings in her account. But something happened that made her look at life differently. She realized that the world wasn't as kind and sheltered as it seemed in the children's home, where they cared for the children, taught and supported them. Once, returning late in the evening from a side job, she had to deal with a group of guys who started to behave inappropriately towards her. There was no one around, and 3 of them pinned her down. Out of fear, she couldn't utter a word. This dreadful evening haunted her for several weeks until she discovered she was pregnant. Scarlett decided on an abortion. She didn't want to raise a child without knowing who the father was, especially after what had happened. Her friend Harper helped organize everything, found a doctor who agreed to perform the procedure quickly, and without unnecessary formalities. Without Harper, Scarlett would have been completely alone in this difficult process. "Did I offend you?" Dylan asked, noticing Scarlett had become withdrawn and lost in thought. "I'm just going through a really hard time right now." "I'm sorry," Scarlett replied, trying to avoid the conversation. They approached the entrance. The sky was sprinkled with stars, and the leaves on the trees, just starting to bloom, rustled in the light breeze. Dylan took Scarlett's hands, turned her towards him, and looked into her eyes attentively. "Your lashes are so beautiful," he thought. "I really don't want to say goodbye," he said softly. "Let's consider going out of town for the weekend and having a small picnic. I'll borrow my mom's car, and we'll go somewhere. I promise you won't regret it. I know such a wonderful place where no sad thoughts will come." "I'll think about it," Scarlett replied. "I have to go now, but, of course, I'll hope that we'll see each other." He wanted to kiss her on the cheek, but Scarlett had already turned and headed towards the door. That night, Scarlett fell asleep with conflicting feelings in her heart. On one hand, she really liked Dylan. She had never felt anything like it before. A strange excitement enveloped her, like a soft veil. But what he triggered in her, the most unpleasant memory, overshadowed all the pleasant moments of that evening. Life seemed unfair, but Scarlett had long accepted it and endeavored to live independently in a way that someone above would notice that she deserved happiness, doing everything possible for it. The morning began with a loud knock on the door. Scarlett woke up and glanced at the clock. 8:30. Who could come so early? Flustered and still in her slippers, she went to the hallway and opened the door to find Harper on the threshold. "Are you still sleeping?" Harper barged into the apartment, kicked off her high-heeled shoes, and headed to the kitchen. Rubbing her eyes, Scarlett followed her. "How can you be asleep when I have such news for you? But first, coffee. God, I need to wake up." Harper had already opened the cabinet and pulled out the unopened coffee jar that Scarlett had bought when grocery shopping the day before. "What are you waiting for? Turn on the kettle. Why are you so excited about a cup of coffee?" inquired Harper, who was already preparing to brew the drink. "Yesterday late at night, the salon owner called me and said they're hiring both of us. Imagine, something happened there. One of the stylists mixed up the compositions and oxidizer, and a few clients ended up with a blue tint to their hair. There was such a scandal that the owner immediately fired that creative stylist," explained Scarlett. "No way. It's surprising that such an unprofessional person is working in the salon. I tried calling you right away, but you didn't pick up, and then you became completely unreachable. By the way, your phone is still not reachable," Harper noted, slicing some sausage for breakfast. "Get ready, by 11 a.m. we need to be at the salon. Now we both have a permanent job, not some penny-paying side gigs. Can you believe it?" Harper enthusiastically announced, dancing a little and munching on her sandwich. Hearing Harper's words, Scarlett rushed to the bathroom, while Harper shouted after her, "Where were you yesterday? Why didn't you answer?" Harper heard a response from the bathroom that slightly puzzled her. Normally, Scarlett preferred to say that she was simply relaxing, reading books, or watching series, but today she mentioned she was out for a walk. Recalling the dreadful incident when Scarlett felt vulnerable alone, Harper was struck. If Scarlett was out for a walk, it meant she wasn't alone. Scarlett emerged from the bathroom, and with curiosity unveiled, Harper asked, "Who were we walking with?" With a smile full of wit, Harper added, "Was it Dylan, perhaps?" "Yes, he invited me for a stroll," replied Scarlett. "Yeah, what stroll?" "We just wandered, sat in a cafe, and then he escorted me home," Scarlett answered, visibly blushing. "Great. I'm happy for you, my friend. Dylan is a fantastic guy, and it's wonderful that you liked him so much. He invited you for a walk the very next day after meeting, and you didn't even want to go to that party. But it's all right, don't worry," reassured Harper, noticing Scarlett's embarrassment. "Okay, no big deal. Let's get ready. From this day on, Scarlett's life will start a new chapter," summarized Harper, not wanting to delve into her friend's personal matters. Later, the salon owner where they interned warmly greeted the girls. She showed them their workspace, one for both of them, for the time being. This suited both Scarlett and Harper. Scarlett enthusiastically immersed herself in her work. She relished the process and felt satisfaction when clients left the salon content, fresh and rejuvenated. The magic of hairstyling captivated Scarlett. One of the clients, a woman in her 50s, emerged after half an hour with a new hairstyle and a beautiful hair shade, eliminating any trace of gray. This styling emphasized her strengths and suited her excellently. Scarlett was so engrossed in her work that she almost forgot about Dylan until he called on Friday evening. "Hi, how about a picnic?" "I think it'll be great," Dylan said. This call caught Scarlett off guard but, at the same time, reignited her interest in the person with whom her heart was starting to beat faster. "I work until noon on Saturday," she answered uncertainly. "No problem, we can go after lunch," the guy confidently declared. After agreeing, Scarlett pondered whether she was rushing too much, heading out of town with a guy she had recently met. Although she liked Dylan, her negative experiences with guys made her cautious. However, she persuaded herself that everything would be fine because Dylan seemed decent, smart, and well-mannered.